ఫ్రెండ్స్, వెల్కమ్ టు దీప్తి జాబ్ అప్డేట్ ఛానల్. మేమైతే ఫస్ట్ టైం అయితే వీడియో రూపంలో అయితే చేస్తున్నాము. ఇప్పటి వరకు మాకు సపోర్ట్ చేసిన ప్రతి సబ్స్క్రైబర్స్కి పేరు పేరున ధన్యవాదాలు. అలాగే మాకు ఇంకా సపోర్ట్ చేయండి. అలాగే మేము కూడా ప్రతి నోటిఫికేషన్ని వీడియో రూపంలో అయితే వెంటనే అయితే తెలియచేస్తాము. మీ సపోర్ట్ని మాకెప్పుడు మీరు కామెంట్ రూపంలో, లైక్ రూపంలో, సబ్స్క్రైబ్ రూపంలో అయితే చేయండి ఫ్రెండ్స్. ఈరోజు అయితే మీకు గేట్ 2021 నోటిఫికేషన్ అయితే పడింది. గేట్ వల్ల అయితే చాలా యూసెస్ ఉన్నాయండి. ప్రతి గవర్నమెంట్ ఎగ్జామ్స్లో గేట్ క్వాలిఫికేషన్ అయితే కంపల్సరీ అయితే ఇప్పుడు చెప్తున్నారు. మేమైతే ఒక ఎక్స్పర్ట్ ద్వారా కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ క్వశ్చన్స్ అయితే సాల్వ్ చేపిస్తున్నాం. తను ఒక అమెజాన్ ఎంప్లాయ్ అండి. సో మీకు ఏమన్నా సాఫ్ట్వేర్ రిలేటెడ్ కానీ, లేకపోతే గేట్ కంప్యూటర్ సైన్స్ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఏమన్నా మీరు సాల్వ్ చేయలేకపోతే మాకు కామెంట్ బాక్స్లో అయితే తెలియచేయండి. మీకు ఏ డౌట్స్ ఉన్నా తెలియచేయండి. మేమైతే తప్పకుండా అయితే రిప్లై అయితే ఇస్తాము. ఇప్పుడైతే వీడియోని అయితే స్టార్ట్ చేసేద్దాం.
Hi friends, I'm Sai Ramesh. I currently work at Amazon as an SDE. Basically, I'm an IT graduate from Srinidhi Institute of Science and Technology and joined Amazon as an SDE out of college itself. From now on, you can find my videos on Deepthi Job Updates channel. I will be posting videos on multiple computer science topics, solving previous year's GATE question and answers, as well as many other computer science videos. I hope computer science graduates in this channel make use of my videos and would be helpful in their career progress. So now let's go into the video and solve a couple of previous year questions appeared in GATE. Yeah, let's see this programming question which is asked in the same GATE 2014 paper. So here it looks like a small piece of code is given to us and a question is being asked, and this is not a multiple choice question, and here we need to find out some absolute value and we need to add it into the fill in the blank kind of question. So let's read the question first. So he's saying consider the following function. The return type is double, so it accepts a variable double argument to it. There is an if condition entering into it and uses a function called ABS. It's squaring the input and subtracting 3 out of it, and it's checking for if the value is less than 0.01, then it's returning x, the value which is sent to us. Or in case if that's not the case, it is returning f of x by 2 plus 1.5 divided by x. So let's read the question. Then give a value q to 2 decimals such that f of q will return q. So as we observed, the function returns x, which is the argument which is passed to it, when absolute of x square minus 3 is less than 0.01. If this condition is true, then this method will obviously return the value which is sent to it. So that's the question. So at what value f of q will return q? So it will return q when absolute of q square minus 3 is less than 0.01. So to find this, so what we can do now is so the q square minus 3 should be less than 0.01. 0.01 is a very less value. So what we can try to see is, so we can divide it, we can do it in two ways. Either remove this absolute. So this ABS is a function which provides you the absolute value. So let's say absolute of minus 1 is 1 and absolute of 1 is also 1. So either it is negative or positive, the absolute value will give the positive output of it. So that's how the ABS works. So now let's see the value. Let's find out the value of a q square minus 3 equal less than 0.01. So one thing what we can do is q square minus 3, we can write it as less than plus or minus 0.01. We can take it in two ways. One is this way, or let's simplify this instead of going into the equations and parts. So we can do it in a very easy way. So here the value is less than 0.01. 0.01 is lesser. So what we can try is, let's assume q square minus 3 equals to 0. If q square minus 3 equals to 0, then the value is obviously less than 0.01. So now q becomes root 3. Root 3 is 1.732. So the answer can be, so the answer is just q equals to 1.732, but here it is asked for up to 2 decimals. So the answer is 1.73. Q is 1.73. Now let's see one of the C question asked in the GATE. So there is a piece of code, there is a function given, and there are 4 options, out of which we need to find out the true statement of it, right? So let's go through the function first, and then we'll find out the statement which is true. So there is a function called f which takes an argument integer j, which returns an integer, and there are 2 variables declared. One is static int I equals to 50, the other is static int like a normal integer k. So first let's see what is meant by static. Before understanding this program, first we also need to see, like, because there are 2 variables declared, I equals to 50 and k is just simply declared as int k, but I is also decorated with a keyword called static. So first let's understand what is meant by static. So in C there is a concept called static, where you can declare variables which can be accessed across the program, not just in the function which is declared. So let's say in case of k, so its scope is, what I meant by scope is the place where it can be accessed, or where it can be modified, or where its value can be used. So that's the scope of a variable. So in case of k, it can be used or it can be modified only in the function f, because its scope is restricted till function f. So that means you can use only between the start statement of the function till the end of the end brace of the function. So the k is restricted to be used in between this only, but the int I, which is declared static, can be used outside of the function, but also can be used throughout the program. Like, let's say in the same program there is another method called int g, then here also I can access the value of I, not just only in the function f, but also in the j I can access the value of I, and that's where the static plays a role here. I guess you understood the basic what is meant by static now, because understanding static is the crucial statement here in this program. So now let's continue reading the program. So then there is a variable called k, and the next condition, next we are checking if I is equals to j. If value of I equals to j, then the program is printing something, and then it is calling the same function f with the value of I, that is f of 50 now, and the return value of it, if it's stored in k, and it will return 0 in case if I double equals to j, or it will return 0 in case I for all values of j. So what it returns for 0, like let's say assume the value of j is 0, so the now f of 0 will go to the program, and I is 50 not equals to 0, so it is returning 0. So value of f of 0 is 0. Similarly, value of 1 is 0 only, because it will return 0 out of the program, because else condition is executed but not if. So this if condition will execute when I double equals to 0. That means when j equals to 50, this if condition is satisfied. So then now what it is doing, it is printing something. So it will print to the console something, the word something into the console. Okay, and then it is calling f of 50 again. So f of 50 it is calling, and the value is being stored in k. But f of 50 in turns call like 50 double equals to 50 again in the if condition, and it is again calling f of 50. So basically it became a recursive statement. So now what it is happening is, every time f of 50 is calling itself, and it will continue until exception is thrown. That exception is stack overflow exception. This occurs when the buffer allocated for stack is completed. So what happens is, like, whenever the recursive functions are called, the execution pattern, like the function f is calling itself f again, f again, f again, the, let's say some 10 times is called to, like, whenever the function goes out of it, so it will stores its state in a stack. This will be taken care of the C compiler and C execution environment itself. So whenever the function is going out of the control is going out of that function to a different function, the function's state is stored in the stack. So whenever the function which is called out of f, like let's say assume the function f is calling g, so whenever just before the call, before control goes to g, so it will store the state of f in the stack, it will go to g, it will complete its execution of g, and it will return back to f. So to return back to f and continue the processing the statements after calling g, so you need to store the state of the function f till that execution. So that will be stored in the stack overflow. When these kind of recursive functions are called, the amount of memory which is allocated for it runs out of storing these function states, and finally results in stack overflow exception. So in case if the value is just as we see now, just in case if the value is 50, so the control, like the program execution is going into a loop, and it results in a stack overflow exception, and the program exits abruptly. So the option A is wrong. Now let's see the option B. The function prints string something for all values of j. No, the function is not printing in case of f of 0 or f of 1. It is only printing in case of f of 50. So the option 2 is also wrong. The function returns 0 when j equals to 50. No, when j equals to 50, it is resulting in a like recursive loop and infinite loop. The function will exhaust the runtime stack on run into an infinite loop when j equals to 50. This statement is true. That's what we observed. When j equals to 50, f of 50 is being called, and f of 50 is in turns calls 50, again f of 50, and this resulting in an infinite loop. So the option D is correct.